Hello, hello. Hey ladies, happy Friday. Raise your hand if you're happy it's Friday. Hope you're well. How has your grocery shopping been this week? Did you check out my live, what was in my fridge? Did you buy something new? Did you try something new? Did you bake something or cook something new? Let me know if that was helpful. Today I want to kind of go in more detail from what you saw on my table that came out of my fridge yesterday. And if you didn't catch that replay, make sure you watch that. To today, now telling you what I'm going to do with that and how I'm going to plan ahead, stress-free, using what I bought and what you saw on the table from that nice little grocery haul. So welcome to the group. For any of you who are new, I'm so happy that you are here. My name is Sam. I am from over at Team Sam Fitness, and I'm passionate about teaching you how to become more confident in making better healthy decisions, learning how living healthy can become your new normal. Instead of dieting all the time, short-term dieting, living healthy can actually become a reality for you. So hook me up with your questions if you need me for anything. I'm in here daily, and I'm happy to have you. If you're catching the replay, thank you for taking the time out to watch, and I appreciate it. Okay, so let's dive right in. Number one on my top 5 tips on planning ahead is to always buy extra. You know, financially if you can. But let me give you some examples. A whole chicken. That's kind of a staple. I had one in my freezer from yesterday. So when I buy a whole chicken to roast, and really, y'all, they're like $5. I'll buy 2 a lot of times, and I'll cook them both at the same time. Cook once, eat twice, or 3 times. That's kind of the general thought there. Cook once, have more meals to eat. Or if I find some meat on sale, like I had those quick sale items, the beef tips and those chuck steaks. That chuck steak, we had no idea what kind of cut of meat that was. I bought it simply because it was on sale. It looked pretty good, and it was really good. I just cooked it on top of the stove, and it was really good. Here's a totally chasing rabbits thing for you, but any kind of meat, lean meats, here's the deal on cooking those so they won't be tough like rubber and you won't overcook them. This is like pork chops, lean beef, all of that. You got to cook them on higher heat and fast. That's kind of the general rule there. Your fattier meats, like some porks, you're going to cook them on a lower temperature and cook them a little bit longer. But anyway, so those quick sale meats I bought, I had those chuck steaks. That's what we had for supper last night. Well, then I had those little beef tips. I bought those too just because they were on sale. But you can do several things with them. So I was either forced to have to put them in the freezer or go ahead and cook them. So I had that pan already ready from where I just cooked those chuck steaks. And so while we were eating supper, I just added a little bit more coconut oil or olive oil to the pan and had those little beef tips cooking up while we were eating. So it didn't take a lot of effort, and now they were ready. By the time we were done, you know, I had to stir them and toss them a little bit. They were done. Okay, so that's another little planning ahead tip. Is not only buy extra, but cook extra, kind of multitask. That's kind of number 2 going into that. So now I have those beef tips. We could cut those into smaller bite-sized pieces to use for omelets in the morning, you know, as your meat. I can have that over a salad for lunch. I can stew up and cook up some bell peppers. Remember you saw that, and onion and mushrooms. Add that meat to it there at the last minute. And now I can have like a Moe's bowl with that long grain rice or quinoa instead of using that Mexican rice that's higher in fat and junk, you know, that a rice bowl would normally have, or even chips. I can have some quinoa, that long grain rice to eat, and kind of have a Moe's bowl. Now I can take that avocado and slice it up instead of sour cream, have that with, you can cut it up with some tomatoes and lime juice, and you got like a guacamole. So do you see where first of all, buy extra when you can. And then secondly, cook extra, multitask. Another example of multitasking and cooking extra. So let's just say I bought that whole chicken again. So I've got, my oven is hot and ready to go. I'm going to roast that whole chicken. I just drizzle it with olive oil and salt and pepper and some Lawry's or Landry's, whatever that seasoning is. And that's the key too, is flavoring. Don't think that you can't flavor, because if you don't flavor it, it's not going to taste good and you're not going to eat it. And we're, chunked it. We're back to square one again. We want our food to taste good. So feel free to play with your herbs and spices and seasoning, salt and pepper accordingly. Salt adds flavor, period. Okay, so while the oven's on, instead of just cooking one chicken, I'm going to cook two. So now I can have one for supper, save the other one, let it cool, pull it off the bone. I can do chicken salads with it. I can do, add it to some fresh green salad. I can add it to soup. I can add it to corn tortilla. I do prefer corn over flour if that's what we're faced with. I prefer corn or those whole grain chips, again, if you're going that Mexican route. So a lot of things that you can do with that chicken that's pulled off the bone. Okay, so get this. While the oven is still hot and I've got two chickens in there, what about some sweet potatoes? Never just cook one sweet potato or two sweet potatoes for supper right then. Go ahead and cook 3 or 4. That way you have some you can add to breakfast the next morning, lunch, etc. So now I've got 2 chickens in the oven. I've got several sweet potatoes in the oven. So now what about some roasted vegetables? You saw the zucchini I had, mushrooms, onion. If you had some squash, asparagus is something I buy a lot of times. Those Brussels sprouts would be great as roasted vegetables. Again, drizzle with olive oil, salt and pepper it, flavor it good, and stick those in the oven. So now I've basically got my entire meal cooking by itself. Hallelujah, and all the angels sing. And it's easy. And I will put aluminum foil on my pans too to make cleanup even easier. Okay, so it's all about working and cooking smarter. Okay, oven's on, it's hot because it heats up my entire dang kitchen. But I'm only cooking once, but I got several meals planned out. And my oven is packed out. So do you see where I'm going with that? So number 1, buy extra. Number 2, multitask and cook extra. The third tip is to save leftovers. I don't care if it's 5 little rings of zucchini. Save it. Because it's great for the next morning as your vegetable to add to omelets. If it's 1 chicken tender, save it. You can add it to an omelet. Scrambled eggs, add just some salsa and some of those vegetables that you've got chopped up. Or I've eaten a chicken tender and a boiled egg for breakfast before. Okay? Save your leftovers. I don't care what it is. Number 4, chop extra. Okay, so if I'm chopping up an onion or slicing up an onion to cook for supper tonight, and maybe the recipe calls for a half an onion, go ahead and chop up the whole onion or slice up the whole onion, stick it in a Ziploc bag, and you've got it ready to pull out to do something with later. Or if you want to go back to that multitasking and cooking more, go ahead and saute the whole onion and put some of it up for later. Or here's another thing. If you need to buy pre-chopped vegetables, do not feel shame in doing that. They're a little bit pricier, but sometimes it's worth it. I told you I buy those green beans in that bag, ready to go, because I don't, and they're probably more, $1 more, but I don't have to take time, which seems like it takes forever, okay, to chop up or to cut off those tips. So if you need to buy pre-chopped onions, bell peppers, fruit, buy the veggies that's already in the little bag for you, do so. If it's going to make or break you and it will make your life easier, absolutely do so. Okay, and number 5, this is another big tip. Don't necessarily try to plan ahead a week in advance. If you can, glory. That's great. But that's a bit time consuming. So I just always try to think about maybe the next day. If I can't even get through the next day, I'm trying to think of the next meal. I'm always trying to at least save some leftovers, cook extra, buy extra, whatever, so I can have enough maybe for breakfast or for sure my lunch the next day. So I can, if I'm going to work, so I can pack my lunch. That's a biggie. I'm always making sure I can pack my lunch. And if I can have a little bit for supper, then whatever's helpful. And don't get caught too thinking you've got to have a full meal already prepped and ready to go for tomorrow night's supper. Think about if you can get a little bit of it ready to save some time, or if you do have some maybe chicken pulled off the bone, or if you do have those beef tips like I have, now add to it. Can I cook some quinoa or some rice to add to it? So it's just about having enough to make it easier for you when you do get ready to come in, or so you can have some for leftovers or some for lunch, to make it easier that way. Because the stressful part about planning ahead is planning ahead. So just take it in small bite-sized pieces on what you can handle. Break it down into little baby steps, thinking about just the next day or the next meal. So to recap, always buy extra when you can. Hit those quick sell items, and go ahead and cook those up. Multitask, like I was talking about. Cook more. Have the oven on once. Put everything in there, pack the oven as best as you can so you can only cook once but have several meals, or at least for the next day. Number 3, save your leftovers for sure. I don't care what it is, save your leftovers. Number 4, chop extra. If you're chopping vegetables for one meal or for one recipe, go ahead and chop some extras while you got your mess out and your board out and whatnot. So it's just more about taking a little bit and trying to make it last or go further with that. Number 4, don't try to think about planning ahead for the next week. Plan ahead for your next meal or even just the next day. Any questions on that? Hey, Laura. Hey, Brittany. Y'all got any questions on that? Brittany, did you think about that brown rice? How you can make it taste better? What else was I going to say? I think I told you, never just cook 1 or 2 sweet potatoes. Eggs, we go through, golly, probably 2 or 3 dozen eggs. More than that, really, a week. So never just boil 1 or 2 eggs. Boil several at a time. Stick them in the fridge. On the blog, on tombstonefitness.com, on Monday, I'll really go through more of these again, so you can actually look at those. I've got a free printable. It's like a little clean eating grocery shopping list and a little menu planner that's going to be included in that blog post. So y'all make sure that you're on the newsletter, because everybody that's on the newsletter is going to automatically get that free printable. There will be a sign up, so you can get that little printable from the blog post on Monday. What else? What else have I got going on this week? There is a good recipe on the blog right now for those little energy bars. They have oatmeal, honey, peanut butter, chia seeds. If you're not familiar with chia seeds, look it up. I'll send you a link. Love chia seeds. Great for digestion, if you know what I mean. And I use dark chocolate chips. That recipe's on the blog. That's a great little, it takes 5 or 10 minutes to cook up. You roll them into little balls, stick them in the fridge. Great little healthy snack, energy snack. That's a good little thing that's on the blog right now. I think that's it. One thing I've learned, I will say this. This is another thing I've kind of seen over the last course of the years while I've been teaching weight loss, is most people don't really realize and know how to eat for their health. All they know is how to diet. So the first thing you think of when we think about dieting is cutting back, eating very small portions, eating salads only for the rest of your life. So that's kind of that's just because that's what society has taught us. So I'm really wanting to change your mindset to know that eating healthy is about eating real food. Eating healthy is not about dieting. Eating healthy is about eating real food. And what I found with most of my peeps is that they don't eat enough. They're starving themselves. They're cutting back, cutting calories, low carb, no carb, strict calorie counting, the whole thing. And all that's doing is shutting your metabolism down even more. It's causing your body to store fat and getting your hormones out of whack. So I'm really trying to reverse your thinking on that and teaching you how to eat for health instead of weight loss. And when you eat for health, The weight's going to automatically start coming off, and now you'll be healthier mentally, but you'll also be healthier or physically, but you'll also be healthier mentally, because knowledge is power. And the more knowledge that you can have about making good decisions and what food does to your body and how to eat for your health, your confidence is going to soar. You're going to feel great about yourself, and you're going to get healthy from the inside out instead of just simply losing weight, and then it's going to come back when your program's over. And we talked about that earlier in the week. The second thing that I was going to throw out at you real quick is that you saw that good grocery haul on my kitchen table, and once you start just really learning how to eat for your health, and you just get a taste of that good, nutritious food, that real food, it's hard to really want to go back to the junk. I'm not saying that you want to indulge from time to time, but just really once you see and learn and gain that knowledge of how real food makes your body feel, it's hard to go back. So that's what I have for you. I hope that these last couple of days have been helpful for you. If you have somebody that needs to hear this, that they're yo-yo dieting, they need to learn to eat for their health, please send them to the group, invite them. Anyone is welcome. So please get them over here. I'm just trying to be real with y'all and give you helpful tips. I'd love to have you join my challenge. You've got 1 week left to sign up. Next Friday is the cutoff day for the 21-day challenge. So please get in on it, because we're going to go through this and more in detail on a more private one-on-one level. So y'all get in on that, and let's get you started on your new journey to health too. Okay, so I love you all. I hope you have a great weekend, and yell at me if you think of anything or if you have any questions, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, y'all.